actress is known as the best actress who never won an Academy Award. Though it is not technically correct, Barbara Stanwyck was given this title to lament that such a talent was never rewarded. Though her celebrity persona was not of legends, her talent on screen was legendary for her time and ours. Through interviews with the actress and extensive research, author Axel Madsen was able to piece together much of her history. However, her rigid privacy leaves us to draw our own conclusions. Barbara Stanwyck was born with the strength and grace to face the many challenges of her personal life while tirelessly working, showing audiences the exceptional talent of a unique Hollywood star. It all started in Brooklyn, New York. She was born Ruby Catherine Stevens in 1907. Madsen explains that Barbara Stanwyck was essentially orphaned at the age of 4, leaving an older sister to take care of her. Her mother had suffered a fatal head injury, and her father left the family and was never seen again. The poverty and instability she knew as a child made a lasting impression on her. At 14 years old, Barbara Stanwyck landed a job as a chorus girl and learned the necessity and rewards of working hard. At this young age, she also learned that the only person she could depend on was herself. Her diligence during this time got her noticed by producers of legitimate Broadway theater. The Noose in 1926 was the first play in which she was billed as Barbara Stanwyck. Offstage, she fell in love with her co-star Rex Cherryman. She was crushed when he died 2 years later. Although this was not the first heartbreak of her life, Madsen believes that it signified the first event of her career, which she used work as an escape. Her marriage to vaudeville star Frank Fay was heavily rumored to be the basis for the film A Star is Born. They had moved to California to further his career. However, it was hers that took off in Hollywood. Resentful of his wife's growing success and his own shortcomings, Fay's alcoholism and behavior worsened. Despite her fight to keep the marriage intact, divorce was imminent. The silver lining she clung to was that her talent was being recognized. The first of 4 Best Actress Academy Award nominations, which would not result in a win, was in her heartbreaking performance in the title character in Stella Dallas. As the unfashionable, uneducated Stella, Barbara was brilliant. Stella's sacrifice to give her daughter the best possible life comes to fruition in the final scene. In about 5 seconds, Stella goes from despondent to content to proud. No words are spoken. It's incredible. She was dating matinee idol Robert Taylor and ever soaring to the top of the Hollywood A-list. It seemed as though she had it all. Barbara Stanwyck married Robert Taylor in 1939 after a long, highly publicized courtship. It seemed like the perfect match. She, the experienced, consummate professional, showing the younger newcomer how to maneuver the business. However, as Madsen shows, she had the need to be in control, and he lacked the ability to do anything but obey. Romance didn't really exist. On the other hand, the 1940s were a fantastic time for the actress, who did some of her best work in film noir dramas and screwball comedies. Ball of Fire seemed tailor-made for the actress, who played a slang-talking gangster's gal hiding out in a boarding house for intellectuals. The great Preston Sturges was so mesmerized by her performance in the film Remember the Night that he got to work immediately on a new script. The Lady Eve was written specifically for Barbara, and it is my favorite film. In 1944, the U.S. Treasury listed Barbara Stanwyck as the highest paid woman at $400,000. In today's calculations, this is a little over $5 million, but it's important to note that the film industry was still very young at this time, and studio heads were exorbitantly greedy. Also, Madsen hints at the idea that because Barbara Stanwyck did not sign long-term Hollywood contracts, that her pay was slightly less negotiable. 1944 was also the year of the film noir classic Double Indemnity. The femme fatale character was not new territory for Barbara, but Phyllis Dietrichson was by far her most evil. Her career was at a zenith, but her personal life was waning. Madsen describes how, without love, neither she nor Robert Taylor made time for the marriage. However, they still kept their publicists busy spinning yarns about a happy couple. She rounded the decade out in her final non-winning Academy Award-nominated performance in Sorry, Wrong Number. Leona Stevenson is a bitter, demanding wife whose husband's evil plot ends in her murder. The character could have been played one-dimensionally, but Barbara managed to give the unstable woman a final and lasting sympathy. But the golden age of Hollywood was coming to an end, and there was little room for the aging actress. In the 1950s, Barbara starred in some westerns and discovered a genre that suited her personality. Westerns were action films. Madsen states that Barbara refused to double and relished the excitement and realism of doing her own stunt work. Westerns also gave her the opportunity to play tough women, equal to their men. Madsen confirms this was her favorite time to act, but it didn't last long. On aging actresses trying to remain youthful, Barbara Stanwyck said, "They look what they are, battle-scarred veterans of their lost war against time. I decided not to enlist in that war 3 years before I turned 40. In the 1960s, she moved to television and starred in the Western series The Big Valley. It wrapped after 4 years, and roles for the actress all but dried up. Also, years of chain smoking developed into emphysema, which greatly limited the few roles she was being offered. She was beautifully given tribute at the Academy Awards in a spontaneous statement by William Holden, her former co-star and co-presenter that evening. It was possibly the only time her tough facade was stripped to show a truly vulnerable woman. 4 years later, in 1982, Barbara Stanwyck captured the elusive Academy Award in an honorary capacity. That same year, she completed The Thornbirds. Her 70-year-old character begs for the love of the young priest. It seemed ironic, like a plea for the physical love and affection she could have had in her youth, but would not permit herself. It was her last great project. I wouldn't say that Barbara Stanwyck revolutionized Hollywood, but she was the first and only freelance actor of her time when studio heads were tyrants and practically owned actors. She didn't care so much about the pay or how she would look. She loved freedom and a good script. She was beloved by the crews of her films for her professionalism and respect for all aspects of the industry. They lovingly nicknamed her Queen Babs. But despite her highly professional reputation and enormous accolades, in modern pop culture she is virtually unknown. Perhaps it is because she didn't have the over-the-top acting style and celebrity persona of the Golden Age's greatest stars. But what she couldn't give in her personal life, Barbara Stanwyck gave fully on screen. I know I'll never forget her. Thank you.